And so we're back.
We're back.
We're back. Yeah, I was just thinking maybe we should have a couple of wines next time we do this.
100%. We need to have wine while we do this. Although what would that bring us? More giggles and a heightened level of energy. I have no doubt.
Might be a bit scary.
Do you know what I thought I needed to share with our listeners actually was my pony story?
Oh, yes.
Pony. Our little 48 hours of pony ownership.
Oh, and it was so beautiful.
Yeah, so we decided to look at a little pony for, just my daughters and see if they could have a little fun, safe little pony, and she was very cute. She was quite tiny though. And in preparation for this, we obviously got our fences, did a walk around and made sure they were all good. And I had been warned by Tracy that ponies were Houdinis.
Yeah. This is the amazing Coach Tracy.
Yeah. And anyway,
we did some shopping for your pony. We went and got food.
I did. Yes, we did. That was very fun and expensive. Yeah. Also, an insight into pony ownership.
Yes, it was quite expensive.
So we get this little pony on trial, and she settles in well the first night. And the second night, we have some kids over because it's my daughter's birthday party, and that was all cute. And then the next morning I wake up to a message from my neighbour saying, "Is the pony still in your paddock?" with a Facebook post saying, "Lost pony."
Anyone lost a pony?
Anyone lost a pony? And so I sent my husband running down, and he was sure she was going to be in there, and then calls me, and Houdini pony had escaped from...
No longer in the paddock.
No longer in the paddock. And thankfully someone was holding her by the side of a rather busy road. So we're very fortunate that she was safe, and this lovely person who happened to be a horse owner as well managed to hang on there for a period of time until we got there. But then we realised we couldn't walk her back the way that she came because it wasn't particularly safe and we couldn't cut through paddocks. So I ended up having to hire a float, and I watched my husband for half an hour before I loaded the pony, trying to what I could only refer to as like an Austin Powers where you're stuck between two walls, but it was with a 4-horse angled float and a big truck, and it wasn't walls, it was trees and fences and mud piles in a car park that was not wide enough to turn around. So we eventually load this pony up and we get her home and safely home, and she's all good. We go for a little ride later on and decide she's not the right pony for us. So we borrowed the float and we took her home before she slept another night at our house because
she wouldn't have stayed.
She would not have stayed. And it was, fabulous. Tracy helped us with the floating because we didn't want to go through what we went through in the morning. And
you did tell your husband in no uncertain terms that you were not going to be driving the float.
Absolutely.
Coach Tracy was.
Absolutely. And you came along for the ride. And on the way back, we did do a little stop by and I purchased 4 bottles of wine, 2 for the owners of the float to say thank you and 2 for us to promptly drink after 48 hours of pony ownership and a Houdini pony.
Yes. It was such a beautiful little pony.
She was so cute.
She was just a little too
but
small.
She was just a little bit too little for one, us, and 2, our fences.
Yes.
As it turns out. So anyway, it was eye-opening, and I don't think I stopped laughing the entire day once I realised that the pony was safe. Yeah. It was just such a comedy of errors and hilarious. And anyway, full disclosure, the owner does know this full story.
Yes, she's lovely.
She was so lovely and gracious and had a good chuckle herself. So all's well in Ponyland.
Yes,
and she's back home with the family.
Yeah, but you're not off the hook. You are still trying to find.
Yeah, we're still looking for little ponies, but we just take it slowly and maybe put some better fencing around for next time.
So talking about ponies and horses, we had a really it was a very challenging lesson today, wasn't it?
I know, but not for speed or fearfulness.
No, it was complicated. We were doing
leg yielding,
leg yields and shoulder in, and
I can't remember the other word. Bypass, butt pass, pass side.
Now I'm under pressure. I can't think.
You can't think of it either. Pretty much for our listeners, what it is getting your horse to walk in the opposite direction of where they're looking. And then getting them to walk in the direction that they're looking, but using their back legs to cross over. And
half pass.
Half pass.
that it?
Did I call
Half
it a
pass?
butt pass?
I think you might have. Half pass.
Half pass.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, leg yield.
Yeah, it was, and I actually did a workout before this morning,
Yeah.
and it was a lot of my legs, and then I sat on Zumi, who I'm riding.
Zumi, yep.
Nazumi, I think is his racing name.
Nazumi, yes.
Yep. And I got a second workout because it was really hard work on the legs, right?
Yep.
And you've got one leg forward and one leg back.
And then you've got to use the other leg if you're doing the other thing, the half pass or the leg yield.
Yeah.
But we didn't really, except for a little bit at the end, we were in pretty much walk the entire lesson.
Yeah.
And it's one of the hardest lessons we've done.
I agree. And my body was really sore after it.
Yeah.
So
but
weird.
I really enjoyed it.
I
it was
did too.
So challenging.
Yeah, because I actually thought at one stage, I was like, I hope this isn't too slow for you. I was like,
no, I was loving it.
Keen for, like, thinking maybe you were keen to go cantering. I'm not ready to canter on Zumi yet. I'll give him another week to get to know his buttons and what he's sort of up to. But he's a big, beautiful bay, and he's so rich in his coat, and he's got this really lovely, like, round structure. And actually his back makes me feel like I want to just climb up and lay on him bareback because he's just so wide and warm and lovely. But yes, he was
I'd like
cute.
to see you do that.
Yeah, well, I could.
I'll have to make sure I have my phone out.
Say that out loud. How would I do that? How would I actually climb up on this 16 handles bareback? Oh my goodness, Marissa, why did you say that out loud?
I'll make sure I definitely have my phone ready for that.
Yes. But yeah, so it was a slower pace lesson, but it was really, really technical and really hard. And Tracy got on Zumi at one point and showed us what to do, which it's always so good to see that, isn't it? Like to actually watch it happen and understand.
And she's such a beautiful rider.
Yeah.
Like, nothing seems to faze her, and she just sits beautifully when she sits. So
yeah, I know. Why is she so good? She's a show off, I told her. But yeah, so it was a fun lesson, but it was really hard work. I'm sure it will be so.
Talking about hard work, we've got a really great guest to talk to today.
We do. So we should get on to talking about Claire. So Claire Riley. So her profile says she's a textbook Virgo with roughly 1,000 years of biz management coaching and mentoring experience, and she works with women and non-binary folk who run established businesses to organise marketing, business structure, strategy, content, and actually getting shit done. So I met Claire a number of years ago when our kids were in daycare, and we just hit it off, straight away.
Yeah.
And she definitely helped me in the early years of my business with organisation and tools and just things that I think you inherently know, but you don't really know what you don't know when you're starting a business. And so we really want to ask her lots about business ownership, startups, bit of crowdfunding, like stuff like that.
Side hustles.
How
do you do it? Should you do it?
Yeah.
How do you back yourself? All of those sorts of things.
Yeah.
That if you've ever sort of thought about starting your own business, or maybe you already have your own business.
Yeah.
Get a few tips from the expert.
Yeah. So that's Claire. So we're going to introduce Claire now. All right. Well, welcome, Miss Claire Riley. We're so excited to have you come on board.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I know. It feels like a long way coming. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we did book this in quite a while ago, didn't we? But you have just been in Bali doing retreats.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
Oh my gosh. It was just so beautiful. It was like the gift from the universe. I had the most gorgeous group. I was there for just a day before retreat. And then I had the 5 women who came and joined the retreat, and then a week afterwards of holidays. So it was just bloody fantastic. I think it was my 8th retreat, and every time I do, and I'm like, right, definitely got it. Like, this is a good balance. And then the next one comes along and I make a little tweak. I'm like, no, now it's perfect. Like, now it's really good. This is how it needs to be.
What do you do at the retreats?
Look, it used to be, it sort of started off, I've got a program called Batshit Crazy, which is all about online content creation. So it started off as like a content creation retreat and very heavy on like, let's spend 8 hours making social media posts and that sort of thing. These days, it's more like, let's start at 10, we'll do some planning, we'll do some project work, we'll have a long hour and a half for lunch. We may not come back from lunch if we're busy getting massages. We might do a bit more work, and then we'll go and get some massages and definitely have cocktails afterwards. So it's called the Biz and Bliss Retreat now, and there's lots of space, but it's definitely got like the business project and decision making and strategy stuff, but there's a lot of downtime and fun stuff as well. So
perfect.
Yeah. Oh, it's so perfect. It's so gorgeous.
What women need, right? And particularly entrepreneurial women, where they're juggling so many different things, which, you know, both Oriel and I have our own businesses, and taking that time out to A, work on your business, but also B, take time out for yourself and have a balance. You've got a really good niche there.
Yeah, it's really cool. And it's really like in the first morning, and we do our, onboarding, or like the orientation and all of that sort of thing. It's often there, like people they've traveled by themselves for maybe the first time, or they've finally taken some time out, but all the mental load of getting the family all right and ready while they're going to be away, and the kids all right, like it's so massive. And it's often the first morning when they finally just stopped, that like it all comes out, and we always like pull a card and we do our journaling and set our intentions, all that sort of thing. And I'm like, if we get to day 3 and someone hasn't cried, I'm like, right, I got to work on you today, because it's just like this unraveling, right, of like being so needed. And so it's not just booking flights, booking insurance and getting there. It's all the other things that we're usually the ones who do all of that mental loading for, and then they finally get there and like, ah. So it was kind of nice.
We understand that, Claire, because that happens to us when we get in the arena.
Yeah.
It's happened quite a few times, because you actually are forced to just focus on what you're doing at the time.
Yeah.
Oh, I've got goosebumps. It's uncomfortable.
Yes, it is. But this is really cool to know, because you've basically built your own business around helping other people, helping other people to start their own businesses. Correct me if I'm wrong. Organize themselves. That probably includes personal life as well. But tell us about how it works. What exactly you do.
Sure. So these days I just sort of bundle everything up and say I'm a business coach and mentor. So when I first started this business, this is actually my 7th of 9 businesses, because I'm just a bit of a business addict, and I kept starting businesses. I was a remedial massage therapist, then I was a baby massage therapist. I used to do
what a cool job,
CVs and it was okay, but it's what I discovered through that one, as well as the other probably 3 or 4 that I'd done by then, was that I loved the setup, and I loved the organization and the process and the marketing and the systems and all of that sort of thing. Actually getting in and running something, I was like, I'm bored now. Like, I've done the fun stuff, which was really interesting. When I was at school, my mum always said, you should go and do business. You should do a business degree or whatever. And I was so offended. I'm like, I am a far more interesting person than doing business. Are you serious? I'm not some stuffy old man who should be in a boardroom like barking orders and smoking cigarettes or something. I was so offended by people saying I'd be good at business. And then after years and years of every time I got a job, I'd be like, I'm just going to go and do my 9 to 5, and I'm checking out and I'm leaving. And within 3 months, I was always in a management role, because I couldn't fucking help myself. I'd like, I can see I would be done better. I'm going to do it better. So I finally, I guess, realized that the part that I really liked was the business side of things, not the running of whatever the business was. It was the business operation side. So I kind of started this business based off, actually tapping into my gifts and not trying to pretend that I was good at other things.
Which is so great. So when it comes to starting up businesses, what are people's typical hurdles, and what stops them from getting off the ground?
Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things, and I also want to preface this by saying it's definitely not just for startups. It's definitely not just at the beginning. It's absolutely people who've been in business for a very long time who still, it's new level, new devil, I guess, one of those sorts of things. But I think the first thing is that readiness myth. Like, I'm not quite ready yet. I've got to wait till my ducks are in a row. And for me, and for a lot of people, it's about money. It's about having the right plan and like your exact next 108 steps mapped out, or I'm not starting in step 1 sort of thing. And qualifications. Like, I had in my head, no one's going to trust me. I don't have a coaching diploma, or I don't have, I've got 4,000 business and HR and operations, but diplomas, but that's not enough. I'll need to be an actual qualified coach if I want to call myself a coach or anything like that. So I think they're some of the big ones. And when they come down to it, it's a procrastination tool, and it's a perfectionism tool, and it's a safety thing, because if I put myself out there and it doesn't work, I'll be broke. And I also want to put a big asterisk and say, I know that I started my business and was able to continue it from a very privileged place. When I started my business, I was married, and my husband at the time, had a great job, and we had savings, and we had a house and all that sort of thing. So I was in a really lucky position that if I didn't make replace my my job income straight away, we weren't going to be destitute and out on our asses. So I totally recognize and acknowledge that came from a place of privilege. But I think a lot of us also use it as a bit of a it's too scary, so I won't start. And it's it's a really convenient reason to not start. And there's so many little ways, we talk about side hustles and getting started and testing and validating your offers and all of that sort of thing before you completely pull the pin. And there's definitely safe ways of doing it, I think, rather than quitting your job and throwing everything away and hoping that it works. A little bit of preparation is definitely ideal.
Yeah. Claire, can I ask you if you you said you started 9 businesses. Have any of them failed?
It's a good question. I wouldn't say any of them failed. The first 4 before this one just got boring. So I had the balance bar, which was my mobile remedial massage. I loved it. It was really great, but I loved the business side. I loved the marketing side and the customer service side and setting up automations and making my website and doing my social media. Doing the actual massage was really nice on a person-to-person basis, but my hands were really sore and my back was really sore and I didn't want to do it anymore because it was too hard. I'm happy to do all the stuff behind my laptop. Also, raging introvert. I know you probably can't tell because I talk a lot, but I'm raging introvert. So actually also spending 8 hours touching other people was so that was a bit too much.
Hard for an introvert.
Yeah. Right, hard for an introvert.
Yeah.
I also had the CV bar, so my first one was called the balance bar, and I made it called the CV bar because I could tweak the logo myself by just putting a photo from a typewriter. The C and the V letters are next to each other, if you didn't realise. A photo of that over the word balance. So I used to do people's job applications and interview coaching and all that sort of thing. Then I went back and did baby massage and all that sort of thing. So all of them could potentially still be going now and probably be fine, but they were unsuccessful in that it wasn't a good fit for me. And on a physical side, I think, those manual things like massage and that sort of thing it shouldn't have a time limit on it, but it kind of does, if you don't look after your body and that sort of thing. And certainly the emotional and mental stuff of having to be with people physically all the time, not great for an introvert, not great. So no, I wouldn't say they failed. And the other ones that I've set up have been I've had 2 different goes at essential oil related MLMs and that sort of thing. Totally not my bag. And the other one that I started was an online drop shipping shop for work from home, which is still probably a bucket list. I have a retail background and I've always had a little dream of having my own little shop, but online will be completely fine, thank you. So that may exist at some point, but I realized that I also have this shiny object syndrome, which I think a lot of us do. So I was like, oh, I don't want to do the real work in my business right now, so I'm going to go and play over here and get a new domain and set up a new website and find my drop shipping and all of that sort of thing.
You are totally talking to me. Hey,
yeah.
I love a shiny new object. I had a drop shipping store that literally sold breastfeeding hoodies. I mean, I made bank. It did really well. There was a market out there for breastfeeding hoodies. It wasn't what I set out to do.
Is it your calling?
It wasn't my calling. But it's interesting when you talk about those things because while shiny objects are great, actually if there's no heart or passion behind what your little side hustles are going to be, they become a slog very quickly, right?
Yes.
And that's essentially what you're saying. You had, you loved those things, but you didn't really love them enough to keep that heat under it. Whereas your retreats, you're in your 8th retreat. I'm pretty sure you love that one, right?
Yeah, I think I've done 19 retreats, but that was the 8th one in Bali, or maybe the 9th one. So I've done, almost 20 actually. By next year, it'll be 23, I think, by the end of next year it worked out. So
amazing.
Yeah, retreats is definitely where and I just absolutely adore it. I see how powerful they are and that sort of thing. And then I've got my online program, which takes me a couple of hours a week, and I get to, again, connect with 40 people who are all working the same thing, and we have chats and we ask questions and we teach and we mastermind and all that. So that's where it's at, not selling bloody stationery for $5 and making 30 cents off the top of it and having to maintain a fucking website and, having people in my corner who were like, what are you doing? Yeah. What? I thought your goal was blah, blah, blah. And one of my big things, and I talk about it in the book about is having a bullshit clause. So having people in your corner who are, you're like, right, oi, these are my plans. And if you see me doing something other than that, you get the spray bottle out and you start shooting. And I often get a couple of friends who I'll be like, oh, try and do this in the corner of the internet that no one's going to see. And I'll get a little gif of them shooting a spray bottle at me. Like, damn it. I thought I was going to get away with that. They caught me. But it's a good reality check. Yeah, exactly. It's such a good reality check. People are like, are you sure? Are you sure this is what you should be spending the next 3 months of your life doing, and not just fixing the thing that you know is already making you money and could actually be better? Okay, fine.
So this, we found that a lot of our listeners and our viewers now, of course, too, are we do have some men, but a lot of them are women and in their 40s and 50s. Is probably the age group. So if someone came to you, Claire, and sort of said, what should I do? I've got a full-time job. I'm thinking of doing a side hustle. How do I know what to do? How can I be brave enough to start it? Like all of those sorts of questions that I'm sure so many of our listeners have had.
Yeah.
What would you say to them? Like, how would you say to go and do this and launch it? As you said, there are ways to do it safely. So
and I'm guessing it's not on a government website getting an 80-page business plan.
Yes.
That's the first step.
Yep.
Boring.
Oh, I got through. Yay. Yeah, awesome question. And I do get asked that quite a bit. As I said, I don't really specialize in startups anymore because I feel like my hourly rate is it's not sensible unless someone has, well, it's great for me, but it's more like I would rather people get much more bang for their buck, and there are better programs out there unless they've got the $50,000 and they want to spend that on startup, which I think it's insane. And I'm a big fan of making money before you spend money. So using things like social media before you go and pay for a $5,000 website, bootleg and DIY and Frankenstein things together in a free or really, really low cost way. So I'm massive fan of that. So finding a program that supports you to do that. I'm a big fan of Tash Corbin's Takeoff program. I think she's probably had it for 10 years. I did it back when she first started it 4 times in a row, and I'm still a member. And it's like every time I talk to a startup, I'm like, I can help you, but it would actually be more beneficial for you to go and do that program. It's tailored, it's modern, all of that sort of thing. I can help you with implementation, but just go and do that. But the top level of that, and I think probably one of the most important aspects of that program, as well as like the whole philosophy of it, which I would absolutely talk to everyone about, is tapping into your gifts. So like you said, Marissa, you can have the most amazing idea, and there's book after book written by bro marketers about just go and buy vending machines or just go and like it'll make you money. Like, awesome. That sounds so much fun. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, I get the philosophy behind just pick something that's going to make money, but you want a fulfilling life and go and do fun stuff and be really proud to tell people what you do? Or do you want to go and fill up vending machines for 7 hours a day? I don't know, whatever. But my preference is to tap into your gifts. Yeah. You might really like snacks, and absolutely. I see the benefit in it. It's totally fine.
The laundromat
Paint my disco.
Maybe not so much.
Look, to be honest, laundromat's probably more my vibe, as long as I don't have to do the actual laundry. But I do love a laundromat.
Has a special laundry machine for horse rugs. So, yeah, there you go. Just bringing it back.
Right. Well, maybe we'll look into laundromats. Maybe we'll make an exception for laundromats.
But yeah, you're right.
So, so I think giving yourself having a bit of a reality check about what your gifts are, what you're naturally really good at, without the pressure of having to turn those gifts into an income, but with the permission and the playfulness of being able to if you want to as well, right? Yeah. So I remember when I first started this business, I did an offer, and I had agreed with my business coach that I was going to charge $45 an hour for the first 4 people. And I freaked out. I was like, can't charge $45 an hour. Like, that's way too much. So I did this sneaky little promo, and I made it $25 an hour. I was like, don't tell anyone. Like, just, does anyone want this thing though? And I had 8 people book in, and they did this $25 thing. It was basically me turning the mush of to-do list shit in your head into something that you could actually go away and use, a bit of an action plan, and just kind of organize it so it was pretty. I'm a textbook Virgo, so I like spreadsheets and lists and things wrapped up in bows and that sort of thing. And what that did was I obviously got the baptism of fire. I had 8 clients really, really quickly, and they were all like, oh my God, that was amazing. That was so helpful. And I went back to my coach and I was like, I can't do this. I can't charge people it's a spreadsheet. It's so easy. Why are they paying me to make a spreadsheet? She was like, That's the point. It's supposed to feel easy for you because this is your zone of genius and this is your gift. They're paying you because it's not theirs. It's not their zone of genius. It's not easy to them. It's not their gift.
Yeah.
So and I was like, it's supposed to feel easy. This is like how I live my life. When I get an email, or if I buy something online and I get emails, all I can picture is the workflow that's on their wall in their workplace. That's how much of a loser I am. But that's my gift. Like, I love it. I love the process. And I know that a lot of people don't think like that. So that's easy for me. So I can bring value by doing things that are easy to me. And I don't feel bad about that anymore. But
So one of the other things I think that people deal with is this, whether it's a startup or a business that you're already doing. Like in your situation, I think that was a beautiful example of, can I really back myself? Like, this is a big question. Am I really good enough to be doing this or to be selling this? Or, you discovering that was okay, that it was easy because it was your zone of genius. I love that term, zone of genius. Is wonderful, but it's difficult, right? It's difficult for people to back themselves. Like, you kind of live in this place where, am I a fraud? Can I really do
this is
it?
what I've always done. Is somebody going to see me outside of that norm and think that, geez, that's weird. Why have they gone down like possibly path? What my friends think, or our friends think of us randomly riding horses and starting a podcast. They're probably like, all right, girls. But you know what? Horse riding and talking is our zone of genius.
It is our zone of genius.
Possibly not the horse riding part. We're getting there. We'll get there.
Cha-ching.
It will become our zone of genius, but certainly talking.
Maybe commentating like horse riding.
But you must have a lot of people coming to you and saying, help me with that too.
Yeah.
Like, how do you, what sort of
how do you back
advice do you give them? Yeah, how do you back yourself?
Great question. Visibility is a massive thing, and I think that probably comes under a bit of visibility and a bit of mindset stuff. And part of it I've kind of already covered with like practicing, and if that means putting your prices down to a stupid amount so that you can have a bit of a practice and go like, oh, I am actually really good at this. Oh, they did get value from that. It's really easy to kind of scale from there. And I get really shitty when there are coaches like, oh, that's not enough. You need to be charging $500 an hour. Like, if I was told to charge that much, I'd still be doing something else because it was too scary. And when I did the $25, I was like, all I have to give them is $25 worth. That's all I have to do. And they were literally saying, you've saved, like, the rest of my month is going to be so much better. Do you know what I mean? I'm like, oh, okay. So that just gives you that confidence. So part of me wants to say it's like that trust the process thing, but you can't trust the process until you have to do the process. So you kind of have to do the process so you can trust the process. So just do it. But the visibility thing is massive. And I remember when I used to be working in corporate, when I was doing massage, and I was an HR and operations manager for a relatively fancy kind of consulting firm. And I was like, I cannot let these people know that I'm a massage therapist because it's a bit too woo-woo. So there was like work corporate Claire, and there was woo-woo massage Claire, and they were very separate people. And massage people didn't know that I had a very serious fancy corporate job, and fancy corporate people didn't know that I had a woo-woo massage business. They were very separate because I was really worried that people would be like, she does what? Like, and it would be, it just didn't kind of work until people started finding out, and they were like, wow, that's really cool. I was like, what, really? You don't think I'm like a fake because I'm 50% that and 50% that? So I think that was one of those things like, oh, I am both of these things and no one died and, whatever. I guess there's some tricks, and I was just talking about this with someone the other day. There's some tricks that I guess I probably tricked myself into doing some things, telling myself I was doing it for other people. So I'm going to do this imperfectly because then everyone else will feel a bit more comfortable if they fuck something up. That's I kind of tricked myself into like, well, I can do it imperfectly then. Until, of course, I launched my podcast, which is called The Recovering Perfectionist. And I, agonized over it a little bit, but whatever, put it out there. And within a few hours, maybe less than a few hours, I had someone in my audience who replied and said, good on you. That's so brave. Look at all those spelling mistakes. And I was like, totally went into this.
Just a quick rebrand though, like I'm a recovering perfectionist. It was obviously intentional.
Yeah, obviously.
Spin on that.
Exactly. Well, that was the kind of the beautiful little gift that I'd given myself. Like, no, I have to do this imperfectly because I'm literally called myself the recovering perfectionist. Like, shut up, little inner. It can't be perfect, or I'm being a hypocrite.
Yeah.
So in that sense, but it was really interesting when I started using the recovering perfectionist for the podcast and all of that sort of thing. I describe it as like, it felt like Christmas lunch where everyone's stuffed, but everyone's trying to have like the nice table etiquette and sit up nice and straight and whatever. And then the first person rips off their belt and everyone else is like, oh, thank God. And they can rip off their belt as well.
Yeah.
And it was like people just came out of the woodwork, either publicly or in DMs, saying, thank you so much. I feel so much more comfortable doing whatever because I've seen you do it. And I was like, all right, well, that's why I'm doing it then. Of course, it's actually because I need it, but we'll say that it's for everyone else. And that's how I trick myself into just getting it done, getting visible, and all of that sort of thing. And it doesn't take much I think we're typically, especially, our age group and women and mums and that sort of thing, we're typically pretty good at being each other's cheerleader at least some of us are. Hopefully most of us, that if there are, and there are always going to be the haters, and some people say are you even successful unless you've got a hater? I don't totally subscribe to that, but it's not as scary as it used to be anymore.
No,
yeah.
Yeah.
Don't love it. I'm still like, confrontation, please love me. But also I'm like, oh, well, I guess there's this philosophy or idea that I became aware of maybe 7 or 8 years ago called magnetic marketing, and it might be magnetic something else that's been tailored to marketing, where like a lighthouse. So the more magnetic you are means that you're more authentic, you stand in exactly, stand for what you want, is like having the courage of your convictions, which means some people are going to be magnetized to you and be like, holy shit, this is what I've been waiting for. Oh my God, you're amazing. I totally agree. Yes, that's awesome. Let's chat. And then there'll be people who are completely repelled by you and are like, absolutely not your people. And being a recovering perfectionist and a people pleaser, my default was always like, you don't like me? Well, I'm going to try harder to make you like me. Like I would spend so much more energy and effort on the people who didn't like me to try and make them like me, rather than energy and effort on people who are already my people. That doesn't make any sense, and when you see that, you kind of like, why am I spending all this time? And it was so, when I heard about this thing, I all of a sudden felt like, oh my gosh, that I just had a recent interaction with someone who I'd been following online for ages and kind of, I don't know if I liked them particularly, but I was intrigued by, and I was a bit, I don't even know how to explain. And we met in person, and it was this instant, like I felt this instant repellent, like, oh my God, not my people, need to get away kind of thing. And I couldn't explain it. I was like, is there something wrong with me? I've been following her and like I thought I liked her, and then I found out about this thing. I was like, oh, it's just that we're repellent. Like there's not a problem with it. We're just repellent. Like it doesn't matter if she doesn't like, and I don't know if she'd liked me or not, but I certainly felt this like, oh, not my people. But I didn't have to explain it away or try and go and fix it. I could just be like, we're just not each other's people. We are just like those two negatives on the magnet. Not a physicist, don't know what it is, but whatever. And there are so many other people, when you start saying like, this is what I believe in, this is what I do, this is what I don't do, I swear a bit, I have a croaky voice today, all those sorts of things. People will be like, yeah, that's cool. You're my people. Oh, I don't like that. Well, they're not my people. That's fine.
I think that comes with age, doesn't it? That ability to, not care, but not care. If somebody doesn't like you, that's okay. You don't have to have 100%. Everybody like you 100% of the time.
That's right.
That recognition of that person is my people.
Yeah, and I actually really like that very like visual simplicity around it. Like, you're either in my lighthouse or
you're not.
You're not. Like you're being there. Yeah, I think that's
the lighthouse is either guiding you home or sending you back out to sea, whatever.
And the whole science behind the magnet, right? I mean, it doesn't necessarily reflect on you as a person.
Right. It's not a personal thing. It's just
I like that.
I had this I've actually shared it probably 4 times in the last week for various reasons. I saw it years ago. It's one of those old-fashioned cartoons with the 2 women who are under the heat lamp for their curlers or whatever back in the 50s or something. And one of them's like, and what did you say to that bitch when she said she didn't like you? And the other one's like, I said, well, then don't join my fan club, bitch. And I'm like, that's where it's at. Like, that's fine if you don't like me. Don't join the fan club.
True. I love it.
You don't have to hang out with me.
No.
It's fine. Just don't join the fan club.
I want to ask you a question, because I know Claire and I have known each other for years. We actually met at our kids' daycare centre, and then we circled around a few women's conferences for a while there, and have always sort of kept in touch. And some cheerleading comps, we'd bump into each other at those too.
I'd like to see you with pom-poms.
Oh, well, I'd like to say it was certainly not me on the cheerleading.
We got the car keys, not pom-poms. We just do the driving.
That's right, we were the Ubers. But I do remember when you launched your book, you used crowdfunding.
Yes.
And I would love to know, I think, crowdfunding is often an option when people are starting businesses and when they're trying to maybe get some coin if they don't have any. How did you find that experience? And do you think it was worthwhile?
It was an absolute game changer for me, to be honest. I started writing this book in, I think, 2014, and I'd written, I don't know, 15,000 words or something, and then it sat there and gathered dust. And then I took myself up to Cairns for a couple of weeks to sit in an Airbnb and finish writing it. And I kind of got it to maybe 35,000. So I was almost done, and then it sat there for another 2 years.
Wow.
And then I was at a women's meeting with a bunch of people who I felt like a complete what do you call it? The imposter syndrome. I was like, I don't belong here. These are really, really uber successful, like millionaire business women. Who do I think I am? Do I need to go and serve drinks or something? That sort of vibe. But it was game changer. And we went around the room, and one of them said, like, what's next for you? I was like, I don't really know, but I know when I finish my book, the next step will be obvious, but I know that this needs to happen first. And she was like, all right, so 6 weeks, like we're meeting in 6 weeks, you can have it done by then. I was like, oh, fuck. And this is a person who, if she tells you you're going to have a book finished in 6 weeks, you finish your book in
finished.
6 weeks.
Yeah.
Have a book finished.
Yeah.
So I got it finished, and then again, kind of sat on it and had a bit of a, like, can I really afford $3,500 to get it edited? And if I don't get it edited properly, is it really, like, would I be happy to put it out? And, all of those sort of mindset things. So I worked with my coach who had used Kickstart a couple of times, and we put together this really robust strategy that just felt like it was the right thing to do. It felt like it was easy sort of thing. So how that one worked is you have to set a goal, and if you don't hit your goal, everyone gets a refund. And if you do hit your goal, then everyone who's pledged pays and you get the money and rah, rah, rah. So I was like, all right, well, that sounds good. Like, that's low risk. It means that I'm not taking anyone's money and not being able to deliver, and no one's going to be out of pocket. And also, if I do hit the goal, I will easily be able to use that money to get it out into the world and that sort of thing. But what we did was, instead of just focusing on the book was like one option. So you could buy just the book, or you could buy a book and some coaching with me, or you could buy a book, 12 months of coaching, a retreat, and access to my online program, that sort of thing. So there were a couple of different levels, which, having all of the marketing, I mean, it was a long process. It was probably a 3-month runway, and then a 1 month of cart open and all of that. So it was quite, it was quite a robust period of time to be talking about it and all of that sort of thing. But what it did was, I think I'd set it at $5,000 was the tipping point, and it hit just over $5,000 in 11 minutes. I'm like, wow. Oh my God. Wow. Because I had those things, and I'd been getting people ready, and there were significant, discounts for ongoing coaching, and you get a free book basically. So in that sense, it got so many jobs done. So I got to talk about the book and the whole philosophy and the podcast that went with it. And I got to talk about my VIP stuff and how I help, women in business and what the process looks like and all of that sort of thing. So I think by the end of it, it was about 12 or 13 maybe thousand after, during the month. So it more than doubled its tipping point. But the knock-on effect from that was probably 3 times that, because so many more people knew what was available and were like, oh, I didn't do the Kickstart thing, but I'm ready now, or I want to do a payment plan, which wasn't available on Kickstart, that sort of thing. So
Unreal.
Yeah, so absolutely highly recommend it, with the asterisk of it's got to come with a pretty robust strategy. And I think just trying to sell a $35 book and get to $5,000 would have been near impossible. I've got a pretty small list. I don't have hundreds of thousands of followers on socials, but I look after my people. I look after the audience. And so having those options, they were, they kind of came along for the ride.
Familiar, right?
Yeah. It was familiar.
There was already, maybe they just needed that, that kick to engage you properly, or whatever the case is as well. Yeah.
Was it socials? Exactly. Did it come through socials? Like, how much of that was, how much
great question. I would say these days it's probably about 50% referrals, 40% socials, and 10%, I don't know, just from wherever, but very few from my website. So more social, I would call it a social business rather than a search business. So yes, my website's optimized and all that sort of thing, but no one's looking for what I do in Google. We're connecting, and I'm showing them how I know shit can be better, and I know how to make it better quicker and in a way that's tailored and personalized to them and how they work and their family and their other shit that's going on and neurodivergence, all of that sort of thing. Right. It's like my coach always used to talk about, if you go to the supermarket and you've got 50,000 different shampoo and conditioners to pick from, but you've got curly hair, you go and buy the one that says shampoo for curly hair. It's pretty easy, right? Yeah. So same sort of thing with marketing. When, I don't know that I've got a problem until you're like, you know what, that looks like a bit of a problem to me, but we could fix it really easily. Yeah. It becomes an easier value proposition because there's a like a very specific and tangible outcome sort of thing. So
yeah. And did Kickstarter help you with that program, or was it just the platform that was used?
It's just the platform. Yeah, it's just the platform. So doing the strategy with someone who'd done it a couple of times before and knew what had worked and what hadn't worked definitely made a big difference. And I didn't create anything new. The book was the only new thing. I already had my online program. I already had intro sessions. I already had 3, 6 and 12 month packages. I already had the retreats, all of that sort of thing. So it wasn't like I'm creating something new and I'm saying, well, this is worth $10,000, because I knew what I could sell everything for, and it was all on my website historically and all that sort of thing. So it was really just about the having I think they're called they're not called levels. I can't remember what they're called, but we did like early bird, just a book, early bird, book in 3 months, early bird, book in 12 months. And then we had full price, and there was only 10 available of each or something like that.
Yeah.
So being really specific with that. But also we did like a wait list, which is, the next one of those sort of marketing tools that can be really great. So we had a wait list for several months before. I'm writing a book. Who wants to know about it when it's ready? So I already had 150 people who were hungry for that.
Yeah, and you were really engaged on socials with that. So I think a lot of what you're saying with people with business and startups and whatnot, what a lot of people are really fearful of when it comes to this is talking about things not until exactly what you've said is, they're perfect and I'm ready to launch and I'm ready to go, but actually engaging an audience in the process prior is a really, really good way of doing things. So there's a girl on socials at the moment who's developing a swimwear brand. And she's a nutritionist, and she's got a whole lot of huge amount of followers from being a nutritionist, and she wants a swimsuit that is going to fit all bodies and be really, kind to women and all that sort of stuff. So she has engaged people in the process the whole way, the design process, the going over and choosing fabric in China, getting people to model, all of it. She's already sold out. The things haven't even been, they're not even on the shelf yet. They're not even available yet. And I think that's what you did. And I remember watching you do it because, obviously I've got a marketing background. So I'm always like tinging into people's marketing. But, you were really engaging your audience in that prior. So I think a really good message out of this is if people are starting to do things, setting exactly what you're saying, using those tools that are free like social media, but actually engaging with an audience and starting to get traction prior to the thing that they're launching or and getting that engagement early.
I think the story is so important. Yeah. We are humans and we like to buy from humans, and we're having this conversation in a group the other day. Like I often will go over to Amazon.com, find something I want, and then go and try and find their direct website so I can buy it from them, especially if it's a maker or a small business or something like that. I'd rather them get the money than Amazon get half the money, right? And I think people are much more open to that, but it's the story. Like you could go to any number of thousands of people who do what I do, what you guys do, whatever, but people come to me because they get me, they know that I'm literally sitting in my lounge room here with a light over there and my kitchen right there and probably a dog upstairs that's about to bark and all of that sort of thing. I'm a real person. And when I separated from my husband 6.5 years ago and I was changing my last name and therefore my business name, I had a girlfriend who had a background she was a copywriter, but also had a background in change management. And she sent me a message. She was like, so what's your plan? I was like, I was just going to do a new logo and just change it. She's like, let's book a call. We need to chat. She was like, no. So we then again just built out like a little 4-week messaging process, I suppose, to just bring people along so that people didn't freak out and like, oh, she's changed name, she's leaving, she's going to be a different person, we don't know anymore, there's all that trust is broken. And I was like, oh no, they'll be fine. She's like, no, we're going to do it this way. So we did it that way, and thank goodness, because it was really important for me as part of my messaging, but also for my audience to obviously know what the hell was going on. So rather than, we're even really specific about, it wasn't like a boo-hoo, I'm getting divorced, I've got to change my name, my business is changing, poor me. It was a more like, my business is getting a bit of a facelift, we're doing some new colors, we're giving it a refresh, I'm going to refresh my homepage, PS, I got divorced, and I'm over here still doing all of the same things. It was a PS rather than the lump of the message, and that was a real, like, a massive gift to me, to not make it about this thing that was happening. It was just a part of what was happening, sort of thing.
This is why.
And this is why, but that's not important. What's important is that I'm staying the same, still the same services, still the same, different colours, different names, same everything else kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
the human
I think that it was a human element, and again, when you do those little things that are personal and real and vulnerable and that sort of thing, people do the letting the belt out. They're like, thank fuck, now I can do the same thing as well. I don't have to hide my stuff either,
Not alone.
and it's a really beautiful connection point for that as well.
I think, we think you're amazing, by the way.
So
thank you for leading the way, and so many.
I know there's so much to talk about with Claire, so we definitely need to get her back on, because we haven't even touched on the tools. I mean, Claire has helped me years ago with like setting up all these cool tools and things that just exist out there in like the internet place, and apps and things that you just don't know about, that help productivity and help organization and all those sorts of things. So there's so much to talk about with Claire.
We're going to have to get you back. We could do a whole chat on talking about productivity and how much your business has changed with the advent of AI and all of those sorts of things.
We
don't have time today. But.
No, we don't. But I think any final words for anyone out there in the world wanting to give it a go, really?
Yeah, look, I think the biggest thing is to just get started, that it doesn't have to be perfect. It's easier said than done. I totally get that. And there's all the mindset wobbles and that sort of thing. I'm a big fan of making sure that you have got the right people in your corner. So I'm also a fan of not telling everyone what you do. I can tell you right now that most of my family still would say, oh, I don't really know what she does. She runs her own business. I don't really know what she does. And I'm cool with that. I don't need to explain it anymore. It's fine. And also, I know that, there are people who I'm like, I'm starting a business, and they'll be like, oh, fuck, here we go again, sort of thing, which is fine. So pick who's in your corner, whether they are other biz people or people who are just perpetually your cheerleaders and your reality checkers, massively having those sort of people in your corner. And there's dozens of us around. Like, there's so many of us here now. You don't have to stick in with your own peeps if they're not the right peeps, because often they're not. And I think it really is just about taking that first step and not knowing what the second step is. Like, if the first step is setting up a Facebook page, the first step is registering a domain name, like all of those little things, because with those little incremental steps that you take, and I remember doing things and I'd be like, oh, and I just like tap it on my on my laptop and then slam the laptop shut, go and pour a glass of wine and be completely convinced that I would never work in this town again. I'm going to get hate mail after hate mail, and everyone's going to be like, who do you think you are? And then within a couple of days, none of that had happened. I was like, oh, no one actually cares. Okay, well, I'll do the next thing then. Like, when you realize that the earth is not going to spin off its axis because you've posted a selfie online, like, oh, well, I could probably do that again. It's probably okay. But you could just do it.
Just do it. Yeah, great. Great advice. Yeah, put yourself out there. Thank you so much. It was so lovely
thanks so
to
much.
chat to
Great
you.
chats.
Thank you. It was awesome advice. I love that we can share this with our listeners too, because we want to encourage people to get out there and try something different, just like we did with jumping on a horse in our 40s and 50s. So
awesome. So good.
Awesome.
Crazy kids we are. Crazy kids.
It's our zone of genius. Don't forget that.
I'm going to regret saying that now. Well, we'll chat to you soon, Claire. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks to our listeners. Bye.
Bye.